Finally tonight, we're pleased to speak with one of the most celebrated photojournalists in the world. He's best known as the co-creator of The Day in the Life books, one of the best-selling photography series in publishing history, and is on an assignment of a lifetime. He documented the 1,700-mile journey of Robin Davidson, who trekked across the Australian outback alone with 4 camels and her dog. Rick Smolan is a former Lifetime and National Geographic photojournalist, and he's here in our New York studios. Rick, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure, of course.
I'm excited to have you here. What a trailblazer.
I have the dream job, right?
You do have the dream job, and you have all these great stories to tell about it. So let's talk about this book. Your book is called Inside Tracks,
right?
And it is the pictorial story of as we just said, the story of Robin's trek across the outback, and a movie called Tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so having said all of that, you called doing this book the most inspiring that you've ever done.
Well, there was a mystery of why this young woman was crossing the outback, and she never told anybody why she was doing it. I was actually sent to Alice Springs, this little desert town in the middle of Australia, by Time magazine to do a cover story about Aborigines, and she was washing the windows of my hotel, and I took a picture of her because she was this beautiful girl, and I was a young photographer, and she got very angry at me. And I apologized, and that night I went to a party with social workers who were working with Aborigines, and it turned out to be at her house. So she wasn't pleased to see me. It wasn't a great start, but she actually ended up asking me if I knew anybody at National Geographic. So she used my name to write to them. They agreed to fund her trip, and so they called me and said, would you like to be the photographer that we send out to track her down in the desert 5 times during her 9-month journey?
Yeah, I was going to say, you chronicled this journey. Thankfully, you didn't have to actually take the 1,700
Really, yeah, I had a car.
But the pictures are absolutely amazing. I want to talk about a couple of them specifically. Of course, this book is full of them. There's one of these kids playing what looks like a balloon. It's a white ball. Tell me about the story behind this story.
Well, the day before this picture was taken, her camel had fallen in a rainstorm, and she thought that he may have broken his leg. And so we had flown a vet out. We were actually waiting at the airport for the plane to land, for the vet to come, and these kids were just playing. It was one of those moments where I looked out, we were waiting for the plane, I looked out, and these kids were just playing on the runway. The plane hadn't arrived yet, obviously, and I think it's one of the best pictures I'd ever seen.
Do you sort of feel in your gut when a great image is before you? How do you know this is what you want to capture?
It's one of the few professions in the world where you can take a zillion pictures and only show people the good ones. So, I think I'm a good photographer, but if you looked at all the bad ones, you might not think I'm as good as you were looking at a book like this.
Well, but you take the good one and you know which one is the good one, and that does make a difference. Another one I wanted you to tell us about, it's a picture of Robin nuzzling a camel, and how many people can say that they've done that?
So her camels each had very distinct personalities. They're very, very intelligent animals, and they loved her. I mean, usually, camels tend to be abused by human beings, so they have a reputation of being nasty. Robin loved these animals. They were like 2,000-pound dogs. They slept next to her at night. They would nuzzle her. They'd steal her food. They didn't like me that much. One of the things that I found so inspiring about Robin is most of us spend our lives avoiding the things that frighten us. And she said, I'm not a hero. I'm not a brave person. She said, I just feel like most people spend their whole lives sort of using the thing that's frightening them is a negative center of gravity. And she goes towards the things that frighten her.
So interesting. And a 1,700-mile trek.
Can I show you something in this book which is kind of cool?
Yeah, quickly. I have literally a second.
There's a smartphone app where you can point your camera. I don't know if it'll work very quickly.
And
but
I don't know if we have the time to do it. We're going to go off the air in just a few seconds.
It's a really cool book. Half of it's about her trip. Half of it's about the movie by the Kings. The guys did the King's Speech. And it's a great, inspiring gift for Christmas. It's
so beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's so nice to meet you. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.